my destination. That is what I soon would know. To eternity, where was I to go?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm at your mercy.
I stand at your mercy.
You can do with me,
oh Lord,
just as you please.
You can do with me, Lord.
Please remember my testimony.
Oh,
the blood of Jesus covers me.
When the time came for the verdict, the anticipation rose, but the people knew too well the path in life they chose. Those who had not cared to answer when in life He gave the call, or had known His grace and love only to fall. But as He looked in my direction, I was not afraid, 'cause the nail-scarred hands were right there. They were defending me. But then He rose to give the answer. As we bowed unto the Lord, He said, well done, my child. Great is your reward.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm at your mercy. You can do with me just
they were defending me. But then he rose to give the answer as we bowed unto the Lord. He said, well done, my child, great is your reward.
Yes, Your Honor, I'm at your mercy. You can do with me just as you please.
You can do with me, Lord, just as you please. Please remember, Lord,
my testimony.
The
blood of Jesus.
Oh, the blood of Jesus covers me.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm at your mercy.
I'm at your mercy, Lord.
You can do with me.
You can do with me, Lord.
Just as you
please. Just as you please. Please remember
my testimony. The blood of Jesus. Please remember my testimony. The blood of Jesus covers me. Please remember my testimony. The blood of Jesus covers me.
As I stood inside the courtroom, judge came walking in. There was one standing beside me, a compassionate friend to me. As he spoke my situation, I knew that he was in control of the destiny of my eternity. As a people with one song, with one voice, we're a nation undivided and voice. We will take us down and build our land to defend what is ours. Here we are as a people with one heart, for one call, were determined to rebuild and restore. But freedom, rest, and truth prevails our land, where there's hope for us all. Our land, where there's hope for us all. We will defend the land. We believe in this nation, and we know we'll get there. We'll defend the land. We believe in Nigeria and the promise she holds, and one day we'll shine like the sun. Great nation. So we are many people, different tribes, different tongues. We're united in our strength and resolve to uphold the honor of our land and for generations to come. And for generations to come. And we'll know we'll get there someday. Can somebody sing it? It's a better world. We believe in this nation, Nigeria, and the promises she holds for us. And someday we will sing like the song. From the north, south, east, and west, somebody say, if you believe tonight, with a better life, with a wisdom,
Okay, good morning, everyone. Let me know if you can hear me. We are about to begin. have some participants. I will be waiting for just few persons to join. Okay. The line.
Child in playing in the rain.
Okay. Okay, I have to welcome everybody to last session of this training. Been a wonderful time. I want to thank him. We cannot even thank him enough. The teaching of the teacher that he is. The last day, I encourage us to stay like and gain something from it today. Sorry for the noise. Let's
Can anyone hear me? Hello, am I audible?
That's fine. You can go ahead this way. It was cracking earlier.
Oh, this is not Guru. I just want to confirm if it is general problem.
Okay, I think it's only from his end.
So can any other person take over from him if we can't do the introduction?
Gabi Solutions.
I can
Mr.
hear you.
Gabi Solutions. Okay, brilliant. Let's just confirm that everyone is in class, then we can proceed. As for Guru Emmanuel, I would advise you log out and log in again. Probably you might get a better connection.
Exactly.
So please, you can take over so we would be able to run with the limited time that we have. Thank you.
Well, the path and light they chose, those who had not cared to answer. When in life he gave the call, as we bowed unto the Lord. He said, well done, my child, great is your reward.
Yes, Your Honor, I'm at your mercy. You can do with me just as you please.
You can do with me, Lord, just as you please. Please remember, Lord,
My testimony,
my testimony.
blood of Jesus.
Oh, the blood of Jesus covers me.
Yes, Your Honor,
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm at your mercy.
I'm at your mercy, Lord.
With me
You can do with me, Lord,
just as you
please. Just as you please. Please remember my testimony. The blood of Jesus.
please remember my testimony. The blood of Jesus covers me. Please remember my testimony. The blood of Jesus covers me.
As I stood inside the courtroom, judge came walking in. There was one standing beside me, a compassionate friend to me. As he spoke my situation, I knew that he was in control of the destiny of my eternal soul. With a hush, the crowd awaited to receive the words he'd say. A finality was pressing like no other day to reveal my destination. That is what I soon would know. To eternity, where was I to go?
Yes, Your Honor,
Yes, Your Honor,
I'm at your mercy.
I stand at your
Can
mercy.
do with me
Oh, Lord,
just as you please.
you can do with me, Lord. Please remember
My testimony,
oh, the blood
of Jesus covers me.
covers me. When the time came for the verdict, the anticipation rose, but the people knew too well the path and light they chose. Those who had not cared to answer when in life he gave the call, or had known his grace and love only to fall.
Okay, so I want to. Hello, I'm Miami.
Cause the nail-scarred hands were right there. They were defending me. But then he rose to give the answer. As we bowed unto the Lord, he said, well done, my child. Great is your reward.
Yes, Your Honor, I'm at your mercy. You can do with me just as you
You
please.
can do with me, Lord, just as you please. Please remember, Lord,
My testimony,
my testimony.
blood of Jesus.
Oh, the blood of Jesus covers me.
Yes, Your Honor,
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm at your mercy.
I'm at your mercy, Lord.
With me
You can do with me, Lord,
just as you
please. Just as you please. Please remember
my testimony.
my
Blood of Jesus. Please remember my testimony. The blood of Jesus covers me. Please remember my testimony. The blood of Jesus covers me.
As I stood inside the courtroom, judge came walking in. There was one standing beside me, a compassionate friend to me. As he spoke my situation, I knew that he was in. I
Hi, everyone. That's so long because I had more of a network challenge. I can see that today's class is almost empty. And I don't want to believe we're not making the impact that we ought to make. So with your permission, if you say yes, we go on this way, because I don't know why you would leave messages in the group for certain persons to join in and train. It will become a problem for them. Again, I will say this is not easy for me either. So let's have this conversation already started, so that we can be able to make out something meaningful out of today. Stephanie and Gabby Solutions, are you guys on?
Yes.
What exactly is keeping us? Because I don't think from the indications, those on the group chat are ready to, make or be part of our conversation this morning. Okay, can I go on? If it's a yes for you, please drop it in the chat box so we can begin. 2 is company more. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Since the session is being recorded, so definitely whoever wants to fall back to it can fall back to it. Now, my name is Adekunle Adejumo, and I am a public speaker. I'm a broadcaster. I'm also a member of the Publications Institute of Nigeria. But basically, I do broadcasting as a full-time job. And for the past 2 days, we've been running on the class entitled Public Speaking, Basics of Public Speaking, pardon me. And we did start off on the right foot. It's not been easy, but I'm very much encouraged by your participation and your continuous dedication to making sure that this class flies. Now, I would want to do a quick recap from top to where we had been, so that those of you that are yet to catch up on the trend would be able to understand how we've made so far so good the progression. We started off by talking about the public speaking and how it produces anxiety in people. Guru Emmanuel, please, if you can help us facilitate it, let me have the slides on the screen if it's possible. We started off by talking about the anxiety that kills most people. And on the ranking, we did talk about death, we did talk about snake bites, and public happens to be the #1 that kills most people. And we have to rank speaking #1 because that's why we're having this conversation, to make sure that it is allayed, to make sure that you overcome that fear. Now, in overcoming the fears, we outlined some steps for you to use. #1, we mentioned acknowledging your fears Anything you cannot own up to, it will be very hard for you to battle it. So once you're able to acknowledge your fears that, oh, I'm human, this can happen to me. I can have the problem of not delivering when I get on stage. I can have the problem of facing the crowd and all of that. You will be able to understand that anxiety will become easy. Secondly, you need to act confident. When you act confident in any zone, your confidentiality gradually improves when it comes to public speaking. So sometimes it's best to also fake it till you make it. Now, we also talked about channeling nervous energy. If you are very nervous and you cannot face the challenges that comes with public speaking, channel those energy to encourage yourself. We did talk about practicing. You have to continually remind yourself of what you can do as a public speaker, and practicing makes it better for you. Also, we went on to talk about selecting the situation that is creating a virtual space of what you want to see or what you expect when you are going on stage. Guru Emmanuel, I'm seeing an indication. Okay, don't worry, I had that address already. Don't bother about what you see on WhatsApp for now. So you have to simulate the setting. That way, when you go to stage or when you get to the podium, it will not be a new reality for you. What other ways can we simulate reality? You can be able to go to the place where you needed to speak prior to the date of you speaking. As long as you know where it is, it will be easier for you to understand the arena and acclimatize yourself to the environmental experiences. Are we okay on that? Now, it's important to get used to the setting or to put it at home. It helps you maintain a level of peace of mind that you would use to operate in the real situation. We also talk about asking friends to be part of your practicing audience. Of course, they should be able to critique you and not criticize you. Then we move to talking about visualizing your success. You need to see what's in front of you. You need to see yourself as a success before you go on. Because if you can't visualize the success of you being part of that community, of you making the impact and the change, definitely there will be a serious problem. Then we move to talking about using deep breathing technique. For you to understand how it works, you need to learn how to breathe and allow air to fill your diaphragm. Take, for example, if you needed to breathe properly, what you're expected to do is not, you're not expected to do that. That is absolutely wrong. The best thing to do is to gradually inhale and exhale. Now, you might not be able to notice it, but when I did that, my diaphragm expanded when I inhaled. And when I was exhaling, I did it gradually, not like some persons who drag the air and they do. It's absolutely wrong, okay? I hope that is not. Focus on message, not fear. When you focus on the message that you have at hand and not the fears, you will be able to deliver intelligently. Also, give yourself a mental pep talk. A mental pep talk is important to your discussion or to you as a public speaker. That way as well, you will get the right dose of motivation that you want. So I hope that is noted. Gabi,
Yeah, I'm with you. You can just go
what
ahead.
with what I'm seeing, I can't be doing this for long because I wouldn't want to go on a spree of monologue without having, contributions from the participants. I had to leave my work to be here. And if I was to do this for some persons, I know what it will be. So it's not too encouraging with what I am seeing on the participant section. I can't be talking to myself. I'm not doing how to do video on YouTube. So we need more encouragement from you guys. This is not encouraging at all. Okay, some late birds are joining in. I guess we have to wait for them. Probably the network is kicking out some persons, but I would sincerely congratulate you, Gabby, for making sure that this works. And if I wouldn't do this for any other reason, you have already, you are a motivation to make sure this works. So I'll just continue on the recap. Now we move to the next slide of talking about understand your audience and listening. I made mention of it yesterday that people think faster than they hear. The moment you are talking, people are trying to process the message. So you are talking, they are processing. You stop, they are processing, and they're even waiting to give you a reply. Secondly, people have short span of listening. An adult can dedicate 10 minutes to you. If you're not able to grab their attention using any formula that you can, they will let go. For a child, you have less than 5 seconds to get their attention, and that is less than a minute. Although statistics vary according to the intelligence nature of the person that you're dealing with. Let's move to another thing. Your audience easily come to conclusion. It's easy for them. Don't get disturbed by that fact. It's in their nature. When you start speaking, I gave the man that I wanted to teach about people not smoking and what he did and the reaction that came from people. They had already reached a conclusion that this man was a smoker, yet he came to dispel them not to do so. All of that plays out. Now, your audience easily get distracted. Multiple reasons can be adduced for this. You can have the result of environmental noise. You can have semantic noise. You can have psychological noise getting your audience, and even your partner. Sometimes your message can as well get your audience distracted. So bear it in mind that your audience can get distracted anytime and more easily. But it's within you to tackle the challenges that comes with how distracted they get. You are the sole ruler that would enable them to go in the right direction that they needed to go, to bring them back. And how can you do some of this? You can crack jokes, you can use anecdotes by storytelling, and you can get to feel in the audience. When you are a public speaker, people want to share their inspiration with you. So walk into the crowd, talk to people, greet them, salute them, depending on the context anyways, because there are some situations that will demand you to be where you are and address any concern that you want to address. But sometimes, as a public speaker, people want to feel a personal touch with you. And that can only be achieved by you talking to them. One of the best hands in media practice, in the media practice, Oprah Winfrey uses what we call tactile motion technique to win most of our audience. And the people she talks to. Of course, you know that Oprah Winfrey is a public speaker in her own regard. Oprah has a sense, an idea of touching people. Touch, feel. It makes people have, you know why you hug somebody, some level of adrenaline is running in your head. It changes something about the psychology of people, putting their reassuring them. It goes a long way, ever than you can think. So we should be able to understand this. Now, how to battle your audience that are sleeping. If you go to NYSC camp as of today, they are holding their skill acquisition program entitled SAID. You'll find some people, they are sleeping this way. That's because of a bad speaker. I'm not talking about the amplifier system that is releasing sound. I'm talking about the orator. But if you have a good orator, that would not happen. Even if it was to happen, the chances of it will be slimmer. So what are some of the remedies that we can use as public speakers to be able to get our audience hooked? Number one, keep your speech focused. Don't always talk in all directions. When you're talking to an audience, you want to make sure your speech is focused. Number two, divide your speech into compacts. You can use bullet points in today's world. Some of you know how to write on books and you use your asterisks, you use the hash sign and all of that. You can even use a dot to show that, oh, number one, I will be talking about legacy of childbirth. From legacy of childbirth, I will talk about the pain of childbirth. From childbirth, I will talk about postmortem and all of that. It happens. Once you're able to segment and compact your speech, you would have how the idea will flow logically. That is why we are always advised to write the paragraphs. But I'm not talking paragraphically now. I'm talking about what happens when you are a public speaker. You can use key points to go on. And so doing, you've been able to divide your speech into segments. The next one is analyze your audience carefully. You are human beings. They have a psychology. They are and were a member of a community. So if you are to deal with them in any way, the most important thing to do is to know how they are thinking. If you, as an individual or public speaker, would be able to crack into how a person thinks, you are able to understand their psyche and their way of reasoning. Trust me, nothing becomes impossible for you, because you now own a power that seems like the power to consolidate and control the people's psychology. It is a thing of the mind. One of my mentors would always say, for you to change the society, you have to first change the mind of the person. So if you can't change their thinking, definitely as a public speaker, you might be achieving a minimal difference. You might be achieving a minimal objective. We need to get that to heart. Now, let's move on. Adapt to situation. A public speaker should always expect the worst. Anything can go wrong at any time. But if you've mastered the art of talking to people, you'll be able to know that certain situation, when it goes out of hand, you need to keep your calm, keep your cool, and proceed with your message. You might be talking and the equipment happened to go bad. Of course, we're in Nigeria. You might have power outage. Somebody in the crowd might upset you. How do you handle this situation? You go on without looking back and maintain your cool. And that enables people to respect you. Now, from there, we did look at the graph of speech pattern, which already has been dovetailed into some of the things that I talked about. So next is understand the speech context. We talked about understanding the speech context. Everything you are saying has a context. There is a context of saying things religiously. There is a context for saying things politically. There is even a context for saying things emotionally. So imagine me being at a burial of, say, my late grandfather. What I would be expected to do if I'm to give a speech, which I would be doing an exemplifying version now, you would find Adekunle Adejumo saying this. He used to work with me. I loved him very much. He was my dad and all. I cherished him with all my heart. I remember once when we took a walk in the park, he held my hand this tight and he told me, son, if I ever happen to let you go, please always remember me in the wind. I love you, Dad. Rest in peace. Or I love you, Grandpa. So you can see that I try to evoke every emotion that I could. And this is even because I've not seen a situation. If I'm to be placed in the context of the situation, I would have to fine-tune my speech That would be different from when I'm saying, hey, thank God, though, my grandfather is dead. He is dead. Oh, people of God, come out. Somebody might think you're going mad. So speech and context go side by side. You need to be able to contextualize your speech. That is already overstretched. Now, we talked about the audience. And we talk about the size. Some of the things you need to consider as a public speaker: the size of your audience, the demographics as regarding to their the working class, their age, of that covers the demographic region. Then we talked about their beliefs and value. You need to understand people's belief in a culture where people don't like to see tears. You don't cry. In a church where people don't like talking about sex, you don't go there to broach such discussion. In a congregation that you know is constituted of LGBT community persons, you don't go there and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You need to understand your context. The people's beliefs and value tied to each other as a destiny child. If that is noted, we then move to the receptive and the antagonistic section of things. In understanding your audience, you need to bear it in mind that you have two classes of audience. You have the receptive audience and you have the antagonistic audience. Your receptive audience always wants to listen to you. Some of you would attest that in your group of friends, some persons are very receptive, yet they are still your friends. But some discussion will come up, they are still your friends, but they want to antagonize you. You've now seen the dichotomy of two friendships. That's the same thing that we have in listenership, or the relationship between a speaker and the listeners. As a public speaker, you must make sure that every time to carry your listening public from the antagonistic side of things to the receptive side of things. You must be able to work in your favor. Now, I'm not saying there cannot be situations when you would offend your listeners or your public. The only way you can offend them is if you need them to change an attitude. And by then, you need to be very smart in using this technique. So maybe you are in a community where you know that you want to talk about people not cohabiting with each other before marriage. You can offset them with certain examples or certain practicality. And let me put it here, as public speakers, we play around a lot with props. So a public speaker might come to the podium with a remote, and the next thing you see them doing this. And you hear them say, this is how your life is operated upon by technology every day. So we play with props a lot. People can bring different things to stage just to press home their message. Of course, you've heard the saying that a picture tells more than 1,000 words. The effect a picture has is more than 1,000 words. So if you understand that properly, you then be able to know why it is more valuable for you to have your audience more receptive than antagonistic. If you discover that your audience are on the antagonistic side of things, always try to bring them to the receptive side of things. Thank you very much. And now we are in context. If you're following, drop yes in the chat box. Let me have your affirmation. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. We can now go on. Of course, please be prepared. I do ask a lot of questions. We'll move into context now and the setting. And as we move into context and setting, when I'm done with the slide, I will ask a question. So get your mind ready. If I don't ask you a question, I will sort for you to ask me questions. That way, I'll be able to broaden the horizon of the conversation. Now, in context, we're now speaking about physicality. We've moved from talking about context as it regards to the message. We're now talking about context as it's regard to the setting. So for some of you that already have the slides, I believe it was dropped in the group. So everybody should virtually have it now. You can fall back to your slides and take a reference from there. In your context, you need to consider if you're going to be speaking outdoor or indoor. It's important to check that. Am I speaking outdoor? Am I using indoor? So there are certain things that you have to observe. You have to observe the fact that people might pass and see you, so you need to be prepared to have eyes, to interact eyes with issues that may indirectly connected to what we're talking about because they're public. Say for example, the likes of to yes, I got that correctly. You can't expect that to have a message to deliver in an open arena, and when they're talking, you want to believe that their eyes do not notice some of the effects going across the road. That is depending on how the setting has been arranged. But they try as much as possible to suppress what their eyes see outside and focus more on what is right in front of them. So consider this thing. If you are indoor, it's a different ball game. You need to learn how to check your room sound. As public speaker, it is embarrassing to go to an event and you are hitting the microphone to do 1, 2 check. No, it's bad. What you do is to say the following: mic check 1, 2, hello, test the microphone, and you don't hit the mic. You can do, just click that with your tongue and you're good to go. So if that is noted, we now move to size and shape the room. Of course, you know, if it's a hollow room, you might be talking, and depending on the engineering of the sound, you'll be getting feedbacks like echoing. You need to be aware of that fact too, for you to have a better conversation. Also, shape and size of the room. Is it cubical? Is it spherical? Is it triangular? Is it rectangular? How can you walk in such a space? You need to understand that. So these are some of the important things for us to check when we're looking at context as regarding to setting of where we are going to be having our presentation. Next thing is arrangement of seats. Some areas, the seats are not so well arranged to enable you navigate when needed to navigate. So you are moving about, you want to stand up and walk in the crowd. It becomes difficult for you as a public speaker. You need to consider some of these things. So as a public speaker, there's every opportunity for you to know about the seating arrangement. Are they going to be sitting in this row? Is it in spherical way? So that you can know how to meander and get to view your publics. Having said that, equipment availability. Of course, sometimes that can be your problem if you are the one supplying equipment. And if it's been delegated to some other authorities, then you don't have to worry that much. But as a public speaker, please do not estimate or do not eliminate yourself from working or talking with those people that control sound. They can kill your presentation. So you're not expected to go to a public event that you needed to speak at, and you're forming big boy. You will kill yourself before time. Reasons being that those who control the sound, if you don't make them your friend, they might touch one or two things and it will tamper your presentation. It will destroy the beauty that used to come to your voice from the microphone, because the microphone is our power. Every time that we talk into the microphone, it is our power. So you need to learn how to use some of these things. Now, lighting. Of course, you know, lighting has effects and lighting has stories that it tells. That is why sometimes some persons, I don't know, but not to offend anybody, there are some class of persons in their room, they have red lights. And when people get into that area, they get disturbed and like, what are you doing with this red light in the daytime? And the person says, I like the effect. But one thing we need to understand is that light also communicates. Light has its message. So imagine if I should switch off one of those bulbs and everywhere become dark. Your mind might be telling you that I'm doing something that the world doesn't need to see. But if I turn on the red lights here, you might think this place is a club. So some of those things you need to consider. Your lighting. If it's a blue light merged with some fluorescent, of course, you know it's an abrasive condition and it may spell royalty. Consider your lighting. Sometimes lighting also it beautifies your face. And that is why sometimes public speakers use a lot of lights, including spotlights that works around with you. Finally, talking about context, your acoustics. As you speak, you need to understand the way your voice is reverbing in the different aspects of the room. So that is why we always say to public speakers, go to the event early and move about. So here you are, moving to this direction, saying sound check, mic 1, 2. You move to the other direction, sound check, mic 1, 2. By the time you're done, you would be able to predict how your voice moves in the different aspects of the room. And that is it. So we're done with the slide that talked about context in regard to setting. Questions, please.
Okay, mine is not really a question. I just have something to add somewhere in your presentation.
Please go ahead.
Okay, that part where you talked about speaking into the hitting the microphone. I want to talk from the technical angle. Yes, most times we advise that people should not hit the mic, but the people don't really understand the reason behind it. It's not just on the part that it doesn't look nice. It's also a way to help the electronic. When you're hitting the mic, you're actually it can affect the chip inside. So why the technical team will always advise you not to hit the mic. It's not just for you not to look childish, or so it's also to help save the equipment. There's a chip under there that will not. That's what I want to add.
Thank you very much, Gabby Solutions. It's good to know that we have an engineer in the house. Any other contribution and question? I need 2 persons at least. You people don't want to talk. Me, I'm hungry. I will go and eat a wagbado and 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 it likes. No question? Can we go on, please? Okay, we'll just proceed because I don't have forever to wait. All right, so now let's talk about understand and define your purpose. Thank you very much. Guru Emmanuel, thank you. Understand and define your purpose. That is the slide that we are on. Now, there are different reasons why we launch. Thank you. I can see that on my screen. There are different reasons why you would want to be out there as a public speaker. Some persons have already streamlined themselves. For me, occasionally, you can't call me to come and be an entertainer as a public speaker. I can be a comedian, but there's a limit to the entertainment industry that I wouldn't want to go to. Right now, I can't be able to do celebrity profiling or go to an area where you have musicians and I begin to, show myself as a public speaker because I want to address things concerning the industry. I can't do that. I don't have proficiency in that. So as a public speaker, you need to understand and define the purpose why you are talking to those people. Number one, are you talking to inform them? Are you talking to inspire them or persuade them? Are you talking to entertain them? Are you talking to introduce the subject matter to them? Are you trying to push them to accepting a particular thing, or you are trying to pay tributes? I gave an example. Of how tribute works just a moment ago. So if you're going to be informing your listeners, it's a different approach. If you're going to persuade them, there's a different approach. It's all about the word and how you use your language. So these are very important. Now with that, we move to the next slide, which is understand the speech process. Understand the speech process. The speech making process, you need to, in research, I do qualitative research for some persons from time to time. Now, in research, there's what we call scatology. I would write that in the chat box, or for emphasis sake, scatology is spelled S-C-A-T-H-O-L-O-G-Y. That means something to be split in every area. When your topic goes north, east, west, and south, and it doesn't come down to having a focal point, you are not making the best use of your time. Yesterday, somebody talks about, I think it was a Blessing Gabriel that raised the articulated point concerning if you are giving a speech that you know would exceed 1 hour and you have just 30 minutes to do it, and the management says you must deliver that as a public speaker within that 30 minutes. What would you do? You need to be able to narrow your topic. When you narrow it down, you would have a better day. Okay? So if we can agree on that, narrow down your topic and make sure that anything you are doing, it works smooth, and pretty fine. So choose a topic that best reflects you. Sometimes you don't have the privilege of choosing a topic. They choose it for you. As a public speaker, you need to be a moving encyclopedia. You need to have a great stock of knowledge and working materials that can enable you to talk anytime and any day. Secondly, research the topic. No man owns the monopoly of language. We always learn and unlearn. So make sure you are researching the topic now and then. Organize your speech. No wonder Asake sang, organize. Every other day I organize. You need to organize your speech. Know what comes first, what comes second. Imagine if I was teaching you this and I started from bottom and I went to the middle and I went to the side. It wouldn't make much sense. So always organize your speech. It's very important. Now, develop an outline. A speech outline is different from organizing the speech. An outline can be your bullet points that would enable you to navigate gradually and smartly. Always rehearse your speech. Most of the people you see, before these times, we in the media, we do wait for presidential, pardon me, we do wait for people like the president to always come up with speech from time to time. This set of persons that you see, they research the speech. And by researching it, I mean, they gradually and always fine tune it. They rehearse it. You can find a person who has written a speech of, say, 10 pages. They will look for somebody that can listen to them. Some people even rehearse with their pets and assume the pets are human beings. So some of these things are important. We need to also rehearse. That's why it's important for you to look for people that can help you and deliver you. Finally, on that slide, delivering the speech, of course, you have to use finesse, dress well, dress the part, look the part. Don't dress haggard and expect to be called a good public speaker. You will end up being seen as a waste bin, a dumpster. Dress properly, look smart. Let your dressing communicate the language that you want the people to understand. Yesterday, because of work stress and everything, I was here to refresh and I've not had my bath. I couldn't come on camera because of that, because I knew that I wasn't having the appropriate dress to address an audience. I had to stay away from that. So when you dress well, it speaks to your people and the message is further amplified. That is it. Before we go to the last slide, questions and contribution. Gura, can you hear me? Are there questions and contribution from anyone?
I can hear you, sir. I don't have questions from my end.
Please go on. Question from your end. Okay, fine. So let's go to the final slide, choosing an appropriate topic. This is very important. Thank you. For you to deliver, to be sincere with you, this class will not be the end of what you need to learn about public speaking, because every time you go out there and you speak to a public, you will have the opportunity to learn and unlearn. You learn and relearn. It's very important. So for you to choose an appropriate topic, you ask yourself some of these important questions. Is the topic important to you? Remember, we talked about the audience getting to feel your yearning and aspiration. If that topic is not personal to you, you feel that even without a script, you can deliver that topic, then it's a topic that you can fly with because it's somewhere in your heart. That is very important. Now, is it important to your audience? You also need to understand this. This is where the issue of geography and being on the same psychological plane with your audience comes in. Is it important to them? Consider that before you choose your topic. Will it hold their attention? Of course, you know what to do. If it's not important to them, then it definitely will not hold their attention. Check that. Is it manageable in the time available? If it's not manageable, you streamline and cut down on it. These are issues that you need to fix. Is it appropriate for oral presentation? Because there are some things that are better written than said. A particular time came in one of the organizations where I had worked, a very big controversy had ensued, and somebody sought to know why from me. This is my reply. It has been left unsaid to be untold. And the young man was confused. Till date, he says that to me. It has been left unsaid to be untold. You need to consider if that thing should be better written than orally given, so that you don't go and shoot yourself in the foot. Finally, is the message clear? We do talk about 3 C's in communication. We do talk 3 C's in communication. We talk about, is your message concise? Is it complete? And is it, what's the last one now? I think it's comprehensive. Yes, something of that nature. But you need to understand if your message is clear. If it is clear, then it is a good message to shoot on with, as long as you have been able to strip it of every ambiguity. And with that, I say thank you, everyone, and God bless you. Gura, give us our thank you and complimentary slide. That is where we'll be drawing the curtains on the basics of public speaking. God bless you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I want to thank everybody for joining us in this training. Can I give it to you? It's been a wonderful time with our suspects. I want to assure us that the Adventist Student Fellowship, River State University chapter, we are working on bringing Mr. Young the light to the suspects. We are planning to have physical version of this training. Until then, we'll get back to you when we are able to achieve that. For now, I want to thank everybody for your participation, and I believe this training was able to help each and every one of us. The slide will be dropped in the group and then the short material. Please do well to go through it and practice, read through it, ask questions. The book will be open for now until we meet the conclusion. Thank you for joining. God bless you, everyone. Still remember Gura Emmanuel, the host, and the brothers. Thank you.